Vlog on a blog. Tomorrow's news today. Get to the truth. Listen, learn, live. Visit us at yadayah.com.
It's a good slogan. I like that one. Listen, learn, live. Good advice from our maker. All right. Well, this woman here does not speak for our maker. I just thought it was interesting because of the fact that Megyn Kelly has gone from being a Fox News Trump can do no wrong to now as an independent influencer on TikTok. She is Trump is a deranged devil. No, Trump is a deranged devil. And I also like the fact that she is pointing out that when Trump went to great expense, flying Air Force One down to South Carolina to stump for Senator Graham, who's the one that in the debate says, I don't know much about national
Dad's
security.
in the military.
Yeah, Dad was in the military. I love the military, but I don't know really anything about national security. So he goes down there, and there is really thin crowd, and many of the people in the crowd are heckling him, giving him the finger, and mocking him. And so it was a pretty nasty scene. So she plays that. Let's go ahead and play it, and we'll move on from there. But it's
just watch this. Donald Trump just wrapped up a disastrous speech in South Carolina before a very tiny crowd where he was heckled throughout, and someone in the audience was giving him the middle finger. Watch what happened. As Donald Trump got heckled, you can see what a tiny crowd it was on these photos. That's all right. That person's going home to mom now. He was there with Senator Darlene Graham, Lindsey Graham's sister, but the whole scene was humiliating. While getting heckled, he kept whining about being impeached, saying, they're going to impeach me. They have no idea. Then claiming he's going to lose everything in the midterms. These are lunatics. These are people that are vicious, violent, that weaponize the Justice Department and want our country to fail. It's beyond lunacy, beyond drinking the Kool-Aid. How utterly humiliating. If you're in that audience cheering this deranged display and think it's normal, you have a lot of freaking issues. The guy's an absolute psycho.
Talk about having a lot of issues. That would be Megyn
Kelly. Yes. Jokes and reverse
but nevertheless, it is interesting. We go ahead and stop it, and we'll move on. But it is interesting just to see how far Trump has fallen, and how far the likes of Megyn Kelly have fallen. And I don't have a problem with somebody recognizing that somebody they once supported is is demonic and insane. We've all recognized the decline of people. Trump 45 was an egomaniac and narcissist and wholly unqualified to be president, but he was not demon possessed. Trump 47 is demon possessed. There's a huge difference between the two.
Yeah, and she's thrown her head in with Mother Mary, Erica Kirk. The second coming of. So this idea that. My takeaway from this is if he's getting this ramped up about midterms this early, about they're going to impeach me and trying to get, are we even going to have midterms? I mean, this was always a possibility that either they were going to lock down the voting, however they Save America Act, that only Trump's counting the votes in the Oval Office, right? Or that there's some sort of ice push or something that there's not even military.
If we get to it, if we go through these things very quickly, we'll get to the answer that Trump let out of the bag while he was on the tarmac, probably coming back from this pathetic rally as to what his plan is to eliminate the next series of elections. Now, this is something that's just worth playing very quickly. It's not the best defense of Israel, but it's clearly a defense of Israel.
I would submit that Israel did not steal anybody's land. This is another thing I've heard the last couple of weeks, words like occupiers and colonizers and apartheid, which I don't think people understand the history there. The Jews have been in that area of the world since about 1200 BC. Way before the first Muslim or Arab walked the earth. 1,000 years before. I mean, Jerusalem was their capital. Okay, so if it's just about who got there first, it's not even close.
Not even close. Uh-oh. I wonder, it's interesting. He's way before the first Muslim. Absolutely. I mean, Arabs didn't exist. There was, with it, the Canaanites, Babylonians, Hittites. Those people were the ones that were, there we go.
All right. So let's,
a whole lot, we'll see.
We're having uplink issues again. The whole myth of Palestine is based strictly on one thing, and that is that there would never have even been a mention of the Philistines. They would have been totally unknown to history if their existence was not recorded in among Yahowah's prophets. Mm-hmm. So to call a place Palestine and speak of Palestinians, that name is only known because of what was written by Yahowah's prophets. If Yahowah's correct, and he is, then these people known as Palestinians, the Philistines, came from Crete. And by the way, recent DNA analysis verifies that Yahowah was right. They came from Crete. And they were terrorists. They were lunatics. They were savages. And they were wiped out. They were wiped out by Israel, by Egypt, by the Assyrians, by the Babylonians. Everybody hated them. And they're gone. And they were gone 400, 500 years before Hadrian was the one who resurrected the name for the express purpose of renaming the province of Yehudah because he hated Jews. He was sitting there massacring them, and he was the one who came up with this, the reuse, the regurgitation of this horrible term while torturing literate Yehud. And no one with half a brain, with any morals, should ever have repeated it. Because A, it was a lie. It was nothing but an ethic. The last of the Philistines was killed by the Babylonians and the Assyrians, the Egyptians, 2,000 to 3,000 years ago, 2,300, 2,500 to 3,000 years ago. There is no legacy of them, and they were never a country, and they never occupied what is Israel today. So every bit of it is a lie, but the lie is based upon what Yahowah reveals through his prophets. And so if you're going to use it, then you have to deal with the fact that Yahowah's telling the truth, and he's telling the truth, then Israel's, that's their land. He gave it to them. So it's one of the most thinly disguised lies in all of human history to be promoting this. And the only reason that it survived is that the British have long been anti-Semitic. They preferred Hadrian's ethnic slur over using the proper name. And so the name was only promoted because of the British, and the British ended up inheriting, if you will, the land of Israel by way of having bribed a number of Islamic countries to go and turn traitor on the Ottoman Turks. And so at the end of World War I, when the United States bailed them out of what would have been total destruction of the British Empire, they maintained this land, and they were scum. And so they use that term because they are scum. They were scum, they are scum. And then it really fell out of favor once the British were gone. And when the British left, then the reason that the name was regurgitated and resurrected yet again is because the KGB and Muslims met in Cairo in the 1960s. And they were the ones who reestablished it, all to create the fake facade that there was a people called Palestinians and a place called Palestine.
Yeah, doesn't the word, I mean, it comes from Palestine, and it literally means invader, right? I mean,
right.
So it's in the name. It's in the name that you can't be you can't be an occupier if they are the invader, right? I mean,
God says they're Cretans, and the DNA checks out. He was right; they're Cretans. That's where they came from, and they never expanded beyond what is now Gaza, and so Gaza was their territory, and they never expanded beyond it. So it's really a pathetic lie that would only appeal to people who are very thin brained. It is the idea of a Palestinian and Palestine only fools the foolish.
Like these,
I like Glenn Dyson. I think he is one of the more intellectual influencers there is. He does a show where he's quite dry. He introduces people. He'll usually have a opening narrative, which is a minute or two long. But the problem is that every one of his guests is a raging anti-Semite, like Jeffrey Sachs. So, how many anti-Semites can you have as guests before you're going to be slathered with the brush yourself as an anti-Semite? And Jeffrey Sachs is a Columbia professor. He's right on as it relates to Ukraine. He was the first person that I met that began to echo the same things I had said for 5-10 years before. I heard him maybe 8 years ago is when I first heard him speak out against what the United States was doing in Ukraine. And I'd been doing it for 20 years because I knew this was what the United States was doing to create a proxy war with Ukraine. So he was the first to do that. He is very intelligent as it relates to the fact that Ukraine is nothing but a U.S. proxy war against Russia to divide Russia and steal its assets. But when he gets outside of that, he is a real mess, and he is a raging anti-Semite. And
it's not wrong for people to judge you for the company you keep. Correct. The fact that you would allow these people around you and that you would give them a platform says a lot about him. It just does.
It does. But, there's a reason that we don't participate in other shows, and we don't have guests outside of the Covenant family on this show is because of the fact that I don't want to be associated with those people who are wrong about most things.
And it's only gotten worse.
It has gotten worse.
The people you thought you had respect for, eventually they had the same guests over and over again and just fell into that crowd. And then they showed their true colors.
Yeah, I try not to show respect for much of anybody because you're going to be disappointed 99.999% of the time. This is another one. This is somebody that wants to make an impression and be counter to Islam, but you play this, and what you realize is that so little of it is true. It talks about Muhammad went to Medina. He didn't go to Medina. He went to Yathrib. It wasn't named Medina until way after Muhammad's death. It was a Jewish community. 30,000 Jews lived there. The migration followed the satanic verses where Muhammad was laughed out of the Kaabaville in shame. It followed his imaginary wild ass ride to the city he didn't even know, but later claimed Jerusalem, where he had to go to hell to meet with Allah. And even then, it becomes the first year of the Islamic era, which he didn't even mention. And the first year of the Islamic era is based on the Pledge of Aqaba. And yet I don't hear anybody talk about the Pledge of Aqaba. It's the first year of the Islamic era. It's the single most important event in the Islamic era. And the Pledge of Aqaba is not only straightforward. It says, we pledge to wage war on all mankind. We pledge to wage war on all mankind. That's the Pledge of Aqaba. And throughout every Quranic surah from that point on, Allah constantly says, I'm holding you to your vow. And that is the only vow, which is to wage war against all mankind. Not even mentioned. And this has Muhammad himself participating in the raids. He did in the case of Badr. It was nothing to do with Islam. The Quran even admits it had nothing to do with Islam. It had all to do with the fact that Muhammad was a thief, and he robbed and brutalized and kidnapped his own family. And he said, in the whole time he said in a palm hut out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's typically what they did with Muhammad at all of these events, because he was just a nincompoop. So this whole thing is sick. And the number of horses they had initially was nil. They didn't get horses and camels until they had raided, pummeled, robbed, and exiled enough Jews and enslaved enough Jews to buy those kinds of things, and they only bought them once they killed enough Jews. So that part's not even true. And then they show a picture of Medina here with this mosque and this minaret. And didn't exist. The mosque in Medina was nothing but the courtyard around the apartments that Muhammad had for all of his sex slaves and his for him to commit pedophilia. Each of the members of his harem were in these apartments, and the center of that was just the open area, was what was called the mosque. And yet they show a mosque here. And it's just, people just don't have a clue, And it says he did not settle into quiet preaching. He never did preach, ever. And he didn't transform a military base. There was no military. There were no militaries in all of Arabia. So the whole thing is just absolutely crazy. Go ahead and play the video, because it just shows just how naive people are as to what Islam really was.
No mercy for the enemies of Allah. For the Prophet, take their goods. Expel the treacherous Jews from Medina. Burn their caravans. Starve Mecca. This is jihad. Our raider state is born.
No. And Allah wasn't even mentioned at the Badr raid, which was the first. Not even mentioned. And as I say, there was no mosque like that in Yathrib, and there was no Jews out of. And it was only the first of the Jews that were thrown out so that Muhammad could steal their homes and their property. And the next of them were massacred there, and their children were enslaved. God, get right. It's not that hard, folks. Speaking of not being able to get it right, it looks like the Catholic priest there.
Did he just do a bris? Is that what he's doing there? I don't.
It looks like it's circumcision of the little baby Jesus. Imagine here, beyond the fact that he is kissing his groin. This is a religion of baby gods and tortured gods. They show this defenseless little baby that they want to turn into a god, and they show a tortured dead god on a stick. So Christianity is the religion of gods who are born and die. Now, pretty adept at the way that Yahowah presents himself in the Torah and the prophets, and I'm quite certain he is not born, and he does not die, and he's not a man, and man can't kill him. So what in the hell are they trying to do with Twistianity? Besides, well, there is a little baby, and the priest couldn't help himself.
He just couldn't help himself. That.
Oh, so here it is, the big comparison of the councils versus the heresies. The fact is that prior to Eusebius is the guy that was really in charge of the Council of Nicaea, working for Constantine. They were trying to use Christianity as a way to control people, and so the first thing they needed was to turn this fellow that they had imagined never existed, Iesu Christu. They wanted to turn him into a god, or they really didn't have a religion. And so Arian was saying, no, he's not a god. Look, read even read the text. The text never mentions he's a god. He never claims to be a god. You'd think that if he was a god and we were supposed to worship him as a god, don't you think that you would read at least like one statement where he says, I'm a god? Never did. Did you read one place where he said, I'm the Messiah? No. Do you read one place where he says, I'm the Son of God? No. Does he read one place where he says, I'm going to be resurrected? Men are going to kill me and I'm going to be resurrected? No. And so Arian said, none of these things are true. You're trying to turn this fellow into a god. It's stupid. And they left the Council of Nicaea. The purpose of it was to elevate the very myth of these things into a god. And that's when the myth of Iousu Christou, now known as Jesus Christ, became a god and the Son of God and all that sort of thing. And then subsequently, Mary had to be turned into a god, and the Holy Spirit had to be turned into a god, and it just goes on. And they continued to build on the lies. So big lies, little lies. On the little lies on the left side, they're big lies.
Wonder if the guys on the right were in black and white here because they got burned at the stake. It wasn't that the
Oh yeah, well, they want to present them as the heretics, and the guys on the left with the sun behind their heads, so that they're wearing the Greek style halos that were part of all paganism, and the pagan cross and all that sort of thing. They're the good pagans, and the guys on the right, oh boy, they're in black and white because they're the heretics. I'm here to tell you that while the heretics were not right, they were only 1% as wrong as the counselors on the left with their little sunbursts. This is again an example of people can't get it right. With the point that Figgin is trying to make is that God created man with his ego, and that as a result, the ego of God is to turn ordinary things into weapons. So she has the monkey throwing the stone, and that arrow, a spear, and then more advanced weapons. But here's the problem with the Figgin's fable, is that God did not create man with his ego. There's no mention of God's ego. I created man with his Neshamah. A Neshamah is a conscience. And he is very quick to say that experiment went wrong very quickly.
I regret
I regret creating them. And he says the reason I creating them is that the Nephilim have become vicious. They're destructive. They're warlike. They're religious. They're political. They're militant. They're a mess. I regret having created them. So it just happens to be the opposite. But it's a very nicely done video. Why don't you take a quick play of it? Yeah. So nicely done video, but completely errant premise. In fact, God did the opposite and had the opposite reaction to humankind. The biggest surprise I think there is the combination of the fact that God hates religion. He's apolitical, does not like politics, certainly does not like militarism, but he literally hates religion. I'm on the midst of tracing down really all of the meaningful references to na'af, which is a word that is errantly rendered in English as as adultery, even though it doesn't speak of adultery in the way the word is defined in English. And it says that God is revolted by his people's propensity to be religious. And not only is anti-religious, he doesn't like people.
Mm-hmm.
Fact is, he just doesn't like people. He says, I regretted having created them. They have become all evil all of the time. So, that's two things that people just don't process, that God doesn't like us very much for good reason. And the number one reason is that this ongoing propensity to be religious and political.
Yeah, the story of the Gani Den and Cain and Hebel. I mean, as soon as there's four, 25% of the population with Neshamah becomes murderers, right? So
right.
It just goes downhill from there.
But it wasn't just 25% of the population. Both Adam and Chawah were crappy parents.
Mm-hmm.
They were crappy parents. So you had three of the four that were essentially useless. Two exceedingly counterproductive. Chawah names a son Tip of the Spear, and the other one Waste of Breath.
Waste of Breath, yeah.
And not going to win the Mom of the Century award. And she was a completely absentee mom, so she was horrible. She's the one who wanted to be a goddess and made a horrible mistake. She misquoted God in trying to justify her desire to be a goddess. She was a complete waste of breath. She was the one who was the waste of breath. And Adam just failed. He would get his act together, but it would take additional lives for him to get his act together. So the thing, it just did not start out well. And then when man became many, the first thing God says is, I regret having created them. And if it wasn't for the collaboration with Noah and Shem and their wives to build the Tebah, the vessel of insights on the harvest, to reboot Neshamah man with 8 souls, then we wouldn't be here today.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the many reasons that I despise social media. Well, I don't like Jeffries at all. I think Jeffries is this typical Marxist Muslim now that is an internal conflict, an oxymoron of a man. And it has him sitting next to Epstein and railing against Epstein, and the grandpa, I guess, there wants to suggest that the Republicans aren't so bad because the Democrats are worse. But there's one problem with all of that. And that is that Jeffries never had dinner with Jeff Epstein. The picture's a fake.
I was just wondering, we have this fancy dinner that obviously there's a dress code, except you're Jeffrey Epstein, that you're just so rich and powerful that you can wear your Henley to the everybody else is in a suit and tie, and it's, I'm sure there's, I've never been to one of these, but I'm sure there's a dress code at these engagements, right?
No,
these $3,000 plate.
The Jeffrey Epstein in that picture was dropped into the picture. It's a fake. That's the problem. AI is used to do really horrible things, to give bad information, and people promote it. It says you can't make this shit up. Yeah, well, you did. You did make this shit up.
Yes, you can. Proof. Your shit.
Yeah. All right. We have a 2 for or 1 for 2 here. So this Alexander Duncan wants to be anti-Islamic, but unfortunately he's a Twistian, so he's not credible. And so here's his approach is, Allah of the Quran is Satan. Well, that is true, but you don't know why that's true. And to make that claim without being able to back it up is really dangerous. And Muhammad, why would you say peace not be unto him? I mean, were you trying to be cute? Was nothing more than a demon-possessed pedophile. He was a demon-possessed pedophile. That, by his own admission, he admitted that he was demon-possessed, and by his own admission, he was a pedophile, and multiple children. But to say he was nothing more is ridiculous. I mean, he was a mass murderer. He was also incestuous, by the way, and he was a rapist. And he was the head of a criminal enterprise. He made up the Quran to beguile people. I mean, he was exceedingly evil, but he was exceedingly effective because he was a hell of a lot more than a demon-possessed pedophile. And there's only one true living God. Well, that part's true, except for the fact he was never manifest in the flesh because, well, God can't be a man. In fact, a being that's capable of creating a universe that is at least 4 dimensions, and I think the evidence is that it's a 6-dimensional universe, he has to be a dimension beyond the universe that he created, or it's not possible to create one. It's just physically, that's just a simple logic. You cannot create a universe without being beyond that universe in terms of dimensions. And therefore, he cannot enter our world. He cannot become flesh. It's impossible. It's just matter of fact impossible. So you're stupid when you say such things. It means that the wheels aren't turning there in the brain. And there was no Jesus in first century Yahowah. There wasn't a Jesus until the 17th century. And there is no Mr. Christ. The whole Christ thing is utterly absurd. It's not a last name. It's not a title. It means drugged in Greek. And there is no prophecy of an arriving Messiah. The entire thing is a pile of manure. So good grief. Don't go off and criticize Islam while promoting the lie of Christianity. You're doing more harm than good.
Yep. Just keep reading. Alexander. You made it through GDR. Now just move on to Twistianity and we'll get you squared away, buddy.
I don't think you're ever going to reach Alexander Duncan. I don't think he's smart enough to salvage. All right, so this is the biggest fail ever. I've watched the video where Trump assails all the Democratic presidents, saying that the national debt is at $19 trillion, and it's going to go to $22 trillion very soon, and the economists, which I don't like, by the way, but nevertheless, the economists say that if it gets to $24 trillion, it's it, that America will collapse and it cannot survive that. So you need to elect me because I will take that $19 trillion deficit, and in 8 years, I will turn it into zero because I'm the man of economics.
I know debt.
I know
Nobody
debt.
knows debt like I do.
Nobody knows debt like I do. And so, when he says, when you get too much debt, you restructure the debt by you go to your creditors and say, I'm going to give you half of the money. So I'm not going to take any loss at all, but you're going to lose half of your willingness to have trusted me in the first place. I don't think I would trust a man like that, but that's what he said in that interview. No, actually, that was the next interview. So now the national debt just passed $40 trillion. So it's probably the biggest fail ever.
Nobody's going to cut it in half.
Yeah, he is. So he's going to screw all of those that were foolish enough to buy the U.S. debt. They're going to get half of what they had. So, okay, so let's just say he does that and shows that he can't be trusted. And the United States, by the way, can't be trusted by cutting the everybody that has loaned money to the United States in half. That takes it down to
20
right
trillion
back to where we started.
And then what do you think the interest would have to be on new debt to fund that $20 trillion worth of debt and to fund a essentially bankrupt U.S. government? After you did that, what would you have to give
you've
people?
Screwed everybody?
After you've screwed everybody and given them a 50% haircut, what is it that you would have to pay in interest? Like 30%, 40%, 50%? 200%. You give me $1, I'll give you $4 back. That's basically what you'd have to do.
Oh, it would be loan shark levels. Yeah, it would be loan shark levels.
No. Loan shark levels are 25 to 50%. If you screwed everybody and said we're going to redo this so that everybody that has a T-bill, we're going to give you half back what you invested. To get anybody to buy a T-bill, you would have to say, if you give me $5, I will give you $10 to $20 back. That's the level. Now that's the level of interest you're looking at. It's not a percentage; it's a multiplier.
Right.
Epic goddamn fail.
Epic.
That's where we're headed.
That is where we're headed. By the way, that's where we're headed. That's where we're going to find when we go to the one on the tarmac, if we can get to it. So we'll just keep on rifling through these with all these little crosses there in the Sinai. This is St. Paul's monastery in Egypt. St. Paul admitted that he was demon possessed. Wouldn't that mean that Paul is a saint of Satan? Oops. Lifeless place, though, isn't it? Oh, so according to this is the thinking atheist who apparently can't think, because they say, according to Genesis, we all come from Adam and Eve, who had 3 sons. Think about it. Take all the time you need. Hey,
keep reading.
Twit.
Keep reading.
Twit. A, it doesn't mention an Eve. There was no Eve. It was Chawah. Second, guess what it says in the 5th chapter? And Adam had many more sons and daughters.
Yep.
You're familiar with that term? That's a female of sons, sweetheart. So thinking atheist, what part of those things didn't you get? Take all the time you need. Get back to me when you figured it out. Between now and then, keep your post to yourself, because you're a ridiculous, absurd, ignorant, irrational, mean-spirited Twitter tweet.
Oh, it goes even further, because it talks about the people outside wanting the daughters because of they were so desirable, right? Because if they had a Neshamah. So I mean, there's obviously other people outside of, it's
why did Cain have to have a sign that people could read? Because the other humans outside the garden would have killed him because murder was a bad thing. And God speaks of there were cities outside of the garden at this time, and there were Neshamah man proliferated rapidly at this time. And God made it very clear that Adam and Chawah were not the first humans. Adam was the first human created in God's image with a Neshamah, with a conscience, and that's the one thing that made him unique. But there were humans thriving outside of the garden at the time. Why did the garden have walls? Right. It wasn't to keep them in, it was to keep the other humans out. All right.
2 very important trees in there. Had to keep them out.
Yeah, well, they only show one of them there. Oh, conversion to Judaism. This is simply beyond words. This is a video of an IDF soldier who just finished her conversion to join the Jewish people. She embraced Judaism. And it says, Mashal Tov, such devotion to the Torah, to God and the Jewish people. Let me tell you something there. Judaism is a declaration of war against Yahowah. Read your Torah, pal, and you'll know that a conversion to Judaism, read the prophets, is a declaration of war against Yahowah. That's why you erased his name. That's why you wrote the Talmud, because you don't want the Jewish people to know that God hates Judaism. He hates rabbis. Conversion to Judaism is war against the Torah, Yahowah, and his people. It is the opposite of what you claim. And oh, by the way, you know it. All right, so they want to make it say that, all right, you can take Quran 2:191, and the second surah is pretty mild in terms of its jihad. The second surah primarily exists because it's the first surah delivered in Yathrib, and it has to change from having Muhammad's relatives being the Muhammad's enemies to Jews being Muhammad's enemies, and so the second surah exists to install anti-Semitism. And so 2:191 does say, slay the unbelievers wherever you find them. That's pretty much standard Islam. And then what they're trying to say is that if you're running from war, you have your religion, I'll have mine, Quran 109:6, and the Muslims will cite that to say, see, we're open-minded now. The Quran is very clear, and Quran 2:106, what does it say? Yahowah abrogates, or to me, Allah abrogates verses, and what Allah chooses to abrogate, he throws into oblivion because he likes the new one better. Well, the 109th surah was very early in the process. It was abrogated by the only religion that will be allowed anybody in the world will be Islam. Allah will be the only God, or you die. And even if Allah's the only guy, you die anyway. So you die. So here they're saying that Satan loves, I guess, the trisexuals, and that they say that, and then it's Jesus in John 7:25, the hated me without cause. Excuse me, they're not hating you, Jesus. And by the way, I hate you for cause. So if that makes you feel any better, if they, you're saying they hate you without cause, I hate you with cause. So take that.
Hate is a virtue.
Hate is a virtue, and I hate Jesus without cause, which is why I killed him. And if you don't think I killed him, you don't think I hate him, if you don't think that I was following God's instructions to hate Jesus, then you just read the 5 volumes of Christianity and send me a note when you're done. So the new prime minister, first thing he did on an international trip, he went off to see the Ukraine. Yeah, it's great. Our war is your war. Your war is our war. What we want to do is we want to go fight a war with the Ruskies. So I would just ask the British Prime Minister, how you doing with your Navy? Last time I checked, you don't even have any airplanes. You busted the bank building 2 aircraft carriers. Neither one of them function. The only airplane they're capable of for another Falklands, you're using the F-35B model, but you can't afford them. So you can't put them on your aircraft carrier. So you broke the bank, and you've got something that you can't even deploy. And you've got another, 15 vessels in total. You used to have a couple of thousand. You've got 15, and they're literally rusting away. They're completely dysfunctional. They're older than Methuselah, and you've got a ragtag military. You've got nothing, and you want to go fight some Ruskies. You know how long the war between the UK and Russia would last? I mean, it's a very different thing. And the reason that it continues to last in Ukraine is that Russia is trying to protect ethnic Russians and trying to create a buffer zone between it and Ukraine, and it's trying not to kill every Ukrainian in the process. And so it's just trying to create a buffer and to protect the ethnic Russians. And that is done with troops. You have to have troops. Do you think that if Russia is convinced that you really are going to go to war with Russia, that Russia is going to fight the UK with troops, or that the UK is going to send troops into Russia? What do you think the odds are that the UK is going to send troops into Russia? Zero.
None.
Right?
No.
Zero.
I was going to say the war is going to last 3 minutes. How long does it take a Square missile to get to London? I mean,
that is correct. That is correct. So why would you be so stupid? Your security is our security. No, your insecurity is our insecurity. We continue to support you, and Russia will eliminate us. That is the bottom line here, is that you continue to irritate Russia by supplying the Ukrainians with long-range drones, and Russia is going to have to deal with you. And it will be the obliteration of the UK. And for what purpose?
Yeah. Yeah, and UK can't even build them. They can't afford to build them because they're just giving Ukraine the blueprints.
Well, now they're just they did give some, and they were used, and they did blow up some things, and Russia was in it, and the Russians said, you continue that, and we will have to teach you a lesson. But that war is lost. I mean, cocaine head there, boy, has obfuscated and skimmed all of the money. There are no more weapons left. There's no more defensive capabilities left. They're now running propaganda on, boy, the women of Ukraine, boy, they're heroic, because they run out of men to drag off the street. They're now taking women. The country is down 50% in its population, and they can't turn on the lights in any city. They can't generate heat for the coming winter. They have no way to import weapons anymore. They're blockaded in the Danube. They're blockaded in the railroads. They have no locomotives to move anything. And the ports on the Black Sea are completely stopped up. It's a rump state. And to continue to feed into this war is insane. And let's just play devil's advocate here. Let's say that the UK, that, oh, man, we're going to stand by our Ukrainian proxy. Because and I take the war to Putin and the Ruskies. What was the last thing that happened when Russia was invaded by Europeans? How did that play out?
Yeah, 825,000 dead Germans, right? I mean, there was 23 million, but yeah.
Yes. So Russia will go all in to maintain its freedom and to repulse a European, and it was more than Germans that were part of Barbarossa. Russia will go all in to defend itself. And so what do you think will happen to Europe if you continue to play this game? Yeah. And I'm going to tell you that last time Europe thinks America saved you. No, America didn't. America entered the war after Russia had been whooped in, or after the Russians had whooped Germany. Germany was full retreat out of Russia, pushed back into Germany, and was retreating into Berlin, a completely defeated empire when America promoted D-Day. The war was already over before we entered it. And by the way, Britain, you would have been absolutely obliterated by the Germans had America not supported you during the war, and at great cost to America. And now you you any harm, but that is your government deserves this.
Yeah, the race. That last thing I heard was that talking about United States entering World War II, or D-Day and everything. I mean, the race to Berlin takes on a completely new perspective when you realize that the Russians had already won. The only reason we do D-Day is so that, oh crap, we need to hurry up if we're going to get anything out of this.
It's exactly right. We were dilly-dallied for 2 years, and the Russians had already won. They had battles. Kutsk was won, and then what was Stalingrad at the time. They at great cost, they won both battles. The Germans and the European armies were in full retreat. They at that point they had lost their air force, they had lost their tank squadrons, they had lost most of their men, and they had won every battle up into that, and then the Russians just cleaned their clocks, and it was just over. And America did not end the war until it was over, and then took full credit for winning it. Pray for Thailand. I won't pray, but I'll tell you what. I did look up the issue in Thailand, and there is a Muslim insurgency in Thailand. And since they have begun to act like terrorists, they've killed 7,000 Thais. So it is Islam being Islam. They did carry out 51 coordinated attacks just 2 days ago.
Wow.
And so it is devastating to see what Islam is doing all around the world. It doesn't matter what country, it doesn't matter what nationality, ethnicity. Islam is Islam, and it is responsible for 99% of the world's terrorist acts. Although that's soon going to change because America is soon to be responsible for most of the world's terrorist acts. Oh, man. This is a man I met many times. I spent better part of a day with him before he was president. That's when he told me he was going to be a wartime president. The first thing he was going to do when he became president was make certain there was a war, because he knew he'd be more popular if there was a war. And this is saying that George W. Bush is just another swamp creature. Well, he's scum. It was George W. Bush that started the Ukrainian war. He is the one who deliberately moved NATO so that all NATO exercises were in the Ukraine. And he says, I'm going to violate all the NATO agreements so that Russia has no choice, but we will start a war with them. So he is the initiator of the Ukraine war, which millions of people have died. He was the initiator of the Afghanistan war, which ended in total disaster for America and for the Afghani people. He was the instigator of the Iraqi war, which was a complete disaster for America and for the Iraqi people, and gave Iraq to Iran. And he was the one who exonerated Saudi Arabia and Islam during 9/11. This man is utter and complete scum. Stop calling me names.
It's clever.
I won't be. I won't tolerate being called taco, old yam tits, the orange shitagobin, man baby, tiny hands, diaper Don, mushroom dick. Oh, it goes on and on. Don the con. Okay, well, I'll just call you Satan. We'll be done with it. That probably is enough. I am the first to call you Satan, after all, and I'm actually quite pleased that we were able to and that you've lived up to the calling. You know, it was a big risk when we announced it, and now it's not. Now it's obvious. It's too bad people just aren't picking up on it. But yeah, he's Satan incarnate.
I think Leia expands this list daily, doesn't she? Doesn't she add to this list daily on her own? I mean, it's
yeah. Well, she's the one that, of course, it has written 3 absolutely phenomenal songs. The last 2, Mr. Babylon and Star Spangled Cosplay, that are hilarious. Both should be viral. It's a shame that they're not, in destroying the reputation of POTUS. Kosher, I will always stand with Benjamin Netanyahu in the fight against Islamic extremism. Then you will die at the hands of ordinary Muslims. Kosher. That's just the bottom line. If you think there's such a thing as Islamic extremism, then you're going to die at the hands of ordinary Muslims. And if you think that Benjamin Netanyahu is somebody that you should stand with and hasn't been the person most destructive of Israel, you're going to learn that you were wrong, he's wrong, and you're going to find out you didn't know squat about Islam, and nor does he, and that ignorance is going to be deadly, just as foretold through the book of Hosea, where he said very clearly, because you are ignorant, you are destroyed.
2/3 of Yehudim worldwide are going to die to even have a
Correct.
chance. You have to yada yada.
Correct. Correct. And kosher's, I mean, you can see he's rabbinic. I mean, he wouldn't be called kosher if you weren't rabbinic. And the rabbis have raped and misled Israel and turned Israel against Yahowah for 2 millennia. And this a-hole right here, he's in power because of the rabbis. They're a deadly force. Oh boy, yeah, Gabriel here. Oh, Gabriel, they've got him coming to Mary. Oh, isn't that lovely, Mary? Oh, fear not, Mary. The Lord is with you. That's a nice big coat that he's got. If Dowd could see himself that way with wings and looking all feminine like that,
oh, he would just
off with your head, off with your
Gabor El. That's all I'm going to say.
Gabor El.
Gabor
El means God's most courageous and capable man, in case you were wondering. And God's the man that God calls Gabor more than any other happens to be Dowd, his firstborn. You would know him as King David. That is who Gabriel is. Gabriel is specifically, even in the book of Daniel, he is called a man. On multiple occasions, he's a man. He's not a Moloch. He is a man, and Gabriel is Dowd. Now, he did not appear to Muhammad. It is true that the spirit that appeared to Muhammad was demonic, but that's not Gabriel. It's,
Dowd, if it was Gabor El, he would have tossed him off a cliff.
He would have gone ahead and just tossed him off the cliff and been done with it. Yes.
Yeah.
Recite would not have been the thing that he would have done. And by the way, it was Qara, which became Quran. It was read, and Muhammad said, "I can't read. I'm illiterate." So this is a 9-year-old girl that was purchased by a 60-some-year-old man. And this is the way they do it. Fathers sell their daughters. A daughter is nothing but a piece of meat to raise to the age that she can be sold to another man. And the highest bidder wins. This man was 60. She was 9 years old. Now, all I can just say is that Islam is a many cursed thing. Yep. When you have a religion, and look at the other wife that is there under the hood.
The other child? Yes.
Yes.
The 14-year-old leading the 9-year-old? Yes.
Yes. What a creep. What a creepy religion. And the fact that this religion is promoted by Marxists, it just says they have no morals, they have no intelligence, they are irrational. They're disgusting. No, I won't watch it again. All right, so this is an Egyptian claiming that they defeated the Hittites, and yet it didn't happen. The history archaeology proves that the Hittites continued to endure in the very place where this battle took place, which means that Ramses II, which was named Ramses the Great, I think Ramses the Great was Ramses III, lied in his hieroglyphics. He claimed that which was not true. And so they're
but
pointing
it's
out,
written in stone. How could he lie? It's
how could he lie?
Wall.
This is So my view is that what actually is being represented here is that the Torah is right, because it's the Torah that introduces the Hittites to us. And those who were thinking atheists used to denounce the Torah and said it's a lie because there were no such people as the Hittites. And then, the archaeologists found the Hittites. It was a major civilization on par with Egypt for its day. And right where they said it was going to be, and just as they said it was going to be. And so what it did is show, the Torah was right again and again and again and again. So the really thing that you should say is that, yes, men lie, and yet God tells you the truth. That's the revelation here. You should never trust men. Men lie. God will tell you the truth. Okay, so this is a twist in that wants to believe that the close up of a cell, life requires God. The DNA that and RNA that run human cells and the way that they are constructed clearly shows intelligent design. That's true. And what they're saying here is that if you take apart a fully functioning cell and you put the pieces in a beaker, the DNA and all of the other elements to it, and hit frappe, you can never put the cell back together again. So I'd say, well, thank you very much for disproving resurrection.
Right.
That's what you've just done. You've just disproven bodily resurrection, because the moment a person dies, all of the cells fall apart, and you might as well just hit frappe. In fact, it's worse because they're actually eaten by all the little other creatures that take care of decomposing bodies and bacteria and the like. And so it's just like hitting frappe. You are never going to get a deceased body without a nephesh soul to function again. So thank you very much. You've just proven bodily resurrection. I appreciate your honesty there, Twistin.
I'll take light. I'll take light over meat any day.
Any day. Yahowah is light. As covenant, we are transformed into to light. We have to have these physical bodies disposed of and be transformed into light to be able to leave this planet, to be in God's presence, to be able to explore the universe. And so you're focusing on what you shouldn't be focusing on, which is the body. The body is meaningless. Even with all that complexity, it is meaningless. You have to leave it behind. And energy and matter are really the same thing anyway. It's just that energy is much more powerful than is matter, much more liberating. I've had a tough time with the crime of rape for a very, very long time. And my issue with rape, not that rape is a terrible thing, and it's and of course rape isn't a sexual crime, rape is a control crime, is that rape is essentially impossible to prove. Now, there are circumstances where, you could have film of it. You could have somebody that was not known to this person at all and happened to be in this place, and you found their DNA. And you could show that it was likely. But in the vast majority of cases, a woman can say, he raped me when they were on a date or in some place. And there is absolutely no way, none, to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. Can't be done. And because it can't be done, that means that a woman can have a man go to prison just because she didn't like him for one reason or another. Maybe she was the one that wanted to have a relationship with him and he turned her down. And so she claims that he raped her, and you get a jury to convict because they want to blame somebody for her alleged suffering. It is a crime that is, since it is possible to prove, we have to deal with it some other way. And here, because she later recanted and said, no, it didn't happen.
6 years.
I think that the prosecutor ought to serve that many years. Whoever it was that prosecuted the case, the lawyer who represented the alleged rape victim should serve as many years in prison as this man did. The jury that convicted erroneously, when there really wasn't evidence to prove it, ought to all serve the same sentence. The judge who presided ought to serve the same sentence. You want to get fair trials in America? You have the people who put an innocent man in jail and robbed him of his life. You put all of them in jail. All of them. That's what I think
that's
is
next level tort reform. I mean, just loser pays is one thing, but
loser pay.
But this idea that I'm with you up until the point that the main bad actor here was the girl who lied. Now, regardless of I don't know anything about the case. Okay, I don't know anything about the case as far as for everyone else involved.
Obviously, the jury didn't either.
Well, yeah,
right.
Well, and the
prosecutor. You want to let off the prosecutor here, and the lawyer representing the girl, and since the man didn't do it, you fabricated a case against him. He didn't do it. You fabricated a case against him. That has to be a crime.
Yeah.
And you were sworn in as you were sworn in as a jury not to convict unless there was proof beyond a reasonable doubt, and obviously there wasn't. And you did that thing to this man. So, I'm sorry. I want fairness. Fairness is you did this to the man, you endure what you did to him, and that's not really fair because you committed this crime. He didn't. You're serving a similar period. You committed a crime. He didn't. So it's not really fair.
Yeah, because he doesn't get that time back. He doesn't get that reputation back. He doesn't get that whatever, you know.
And he did nothing. And he did nothing wrong, and you did everything wrong. So, you know, in Yahowah's view, it's 7 times.
Oh.
So if you don't like mine, you're not going to like Yahowah's at all because he's going to go 7 times.
2 years.
He's going to go 7 times.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it appears that I get to carry it out, and now you've heard my view of it. So
I have. Beware the Shabbat. I see.
Beware. Yeah, Shaphat is Shaphat, and I am absolutely convinced that when a prosecutor prosecutes, a jury convicts, a judge handles a trial like this, a justice system causes an innocent man to be sent away to prison like this, and there are many, many, many of them, there's something seriously flawed in the entire process, and this should never have happened.
I agree with you. Absolutely, something is definitely flawed in the entire process because they have no consequences. It is just a job, right? I show up and I decide. I show up and this guy's bad, and the defense attorney, their children, the public defenders are not the best. You know what I'm saying? They show up and I have a whole caseload of 30 people that I'm trying to defend, you know, in trials, which is a big thing. And so everybody's just getting,
and the public defender wants you to cop a plea so he can get rid of the case. Yes. You're an innocent man. It says, how can I cop a plea and admit to doing something I didn't do?
Yeah.
And the woman who made the accusation, she didn't even take the stand.
Yeah.
And so they obviously brought a case that was untrue, and they created a case that was false to convince a jury to do something they should not have done, or the jury just was irresponsible with another man's life. There has to be consequences. You can't have justice if there's no consequences. Simply letting this man out of jail after whatever it was, 6 or 9 years, isn't a resolution. Yeah, I'm going to have tort reform.
Yahowah's version of tort reform.
Yahowah's version of tort reform, yeah. In fact, I didn't even go to Yahowah's version of tort reform because it's 7 times.
Yeah, he just said,
You're a liberal, Shaphat.
Yeah, I was just I'm a little wussy here by comparison to Yahowah. I apologize, God. I won't make that mistake again.
Shazak.
Shazak. Yep. All right. So here we have our Treasury Secretary. And he is saying that the United States can use sanctions to bring down Iran. So forget about the fact that this new round of sanctions don't apply to Iran at all. And yet they want to focus them on Iran because they don't want you to actually know you know who you are. People that Trump says, and you know who you are. It didn't apply to Iran because they already have full sanctions on Iran. You can't sanction. It's like diving in a pool and thinking, oh no, I don't want to get wet. I mean, once you're wet, you're wet. We put every sanction we could on Iran. There are no more sanctions. They didn't work. 47 years of sanctions. They taught Iran to be independent. So what we want to do now is we want to sanction everybody that does business with Iran. Well, Iran's largest trading partner is China, and China's already said, screw you. You've got no leverage on us. We have all the leverage in the world on you, and we're not abiding by this. And the second is Russia, and you've already pushed Russia into support of Iran, and it's never going to change. So, I know that Trump says that Fat Bed Hair Boy is his BFF, but he's the other one that's playing with Iran, as is India and all the BRICS nations. So beyond the insanity of the fact that more of the same isn't going to prevail, it's the United States and the rest of the world whose economies are being ripped to shreds by this and the continuation of it. So,
completely separate issue, but the tariffs on Canada took a new turn this week. I mean,
let me finish one thought on this, then we'll talk about Canada. What happened when the Russians went all in? The Germans went all in on Russia. Did Russia just roll over and play dead?
Oh no! It absorbed them. It ate them alive. Yeah,
it ate them alive. Right? It ate them alive. What do you think the odds are that let's say that Numbskull here was able to sanction China for doing business with Iran, or more sanctions on Russia for doing business with Iran? Let's just say that he really wasn't just a complete ignoramus, and that more sanctions on Iran's trading partners actually brought the regime to an end, and there was happy ever after. What do you think the odds are that if these fundamentalist Muslim regime were in a position where they had nothing to lose, that they would just throw up their arms and said, "Oh, you got us. Come on in. You can take our uranium. We're done. You can have our country. Go ahead and steal the oil." What do you think the odds are of that?
We nuke Saudi Arabia, UAE. If we can't have the Strait, if we can't have the oil, then nobody can have it. If our situation is that we're going down, we're going to go down as martyrs, and therefore everything we have is going to be launched at Israel and every Arab nation around us, and every U.S. asset, and Ukraine for having in this now. We're going to burn the world down. And that is the only outcome. If Numbskull here has his way, that's what it will lead to. That's the same stupidity of the Ukraine war. If you were to actually bring Russia to its knees with its sanctions and with the Ukrainians, and now they're going to send the women to the front line. Ukrainian women, yay! I'm a woman for a cokehead. Then what are the Russians going to do? They're going to say, "Oh yeah, you got us. You can now steal all of our raw materials," or the Russians going to say, "All right, we'll take you down with us if that's what's going to happen." And so that's the same game they're playing in Iran. And this guy. I mean, he's got an IQ of about 3. In fact, he's bragging. He's saying that there's a $1 trillion slush fund in the U.S. Treasury, which of course is just pretend money, that he can use to offset the cost of increased interest rates. And so after that lasts a weekend, what are you going to do next?
That Trump slush fund, doesn't he? I'm sure he's got a way to get his greedy fingers in it.
But $1 trillion, I mean, that'd last a weekend. Obviously, it'd last 3 months. But so what? What's 3 months? Yeah. Crazy thing. Kingdom of Israel, kingdom of Yahowah. Jeez. Where's there a Palestine here?
Never was.
Actually, there was a Philistine enclave of terrorist invaders from Crete, but it was down there where Gaza is. And by the way, the stuff over there in the yellow, one of those places, in fact, on this map, it would have been Moab, and the other would have been Edom, and they were kissing cousins.
Well, I was just looking at the map a little closer, and I see these bodies of water here. That's the Yarden right here. This map shows, I mean, that's well into Jordan. What's Jordan?
Well, yes. Well, that's because of the fact that that area over there is the grant that Yahowah gave to Israel and the scope of Israel went way across the Jordan, and then up high, up north, it went even further. So this is a pretty accurate rendition of Israel circa 1000 BCE. Now, it didn't stay that way very long, but that was ever so briefly. That was it.
That was the plan, man. They screwed it up.
That was the plan, but Solomon, he kind of screwed things up. He screwed the pooch on that one. Okay, so he says the Roman Catholic priesthood is a 4th century invention. That's the best you can do. You got a religion that made up the myth of Jesus in 52 CE. You've got a religion that has God being born as a man, as a baby. You have a religion that has God being a man. You have a religion that men killed God. You have a religion that the first 14 books were written by a man who admitted he was demon possessed and lied about everything. And the thing that you're worried about is the Catholic priesthood is a 14th century invention.
He's dresses and hats. He's worried about dresses and hats when the whole thing is a myth.
We just saw the heretic thing. The invention of turning Jesus into a god was a 14th century invention. And since that was a 4th century invention, you got a bigger problem than the priesthood.
Yeah. Well, Jesus was a 17th century invention, right? So
the name Jesus is a 17th century invention.
Yeah.
And the idea of Iesu Christou being a god was a 4th century invention. So Mr. Larkins.org, you got a lot to learn. Played for fools.
The kids digging in the dirt. That's right.
Yeah. Oh, where are we? I'm a Christian, and here we are. Where Jesus walked, and we're doing I'm a believer here in the dirt. All I believe is that you're getting dirty. There were no disciples. There was no Jesus. Oh yeah, Christians on a pilgrimage.
Yeah, we could get lucky. They could find another lead tablet with Yahweh's name on it. Yeah. I mean, come on, let them dig, let them sift. They could find another piece of stone with pottery with Dowd's name on it. I mean, so it's
it is. You're claiming that God became a man, and that he was in Israel for 33 years, growing up as a man. And he was crucified by the Romans. God was, and men killed God. And then God came back to life after crucifixion, even though your own testimony says nobody recognized him, which isn't much of a resurrection, is it? And there's not a single contemporaneous eyewitness source, not in your own book and not in Rome. I mean, Rome wrote down, how the barbecue tasted after each campaign. I mean, they were big into their details, and they had no problem having another god a miracle, man. They wanted to be all over it and claim it. Not a word, not a single contemporaneous eyewitness account. And you claim all these miracles happened in the crossroads of civilization, and you got nothing. And you silt through that dirt there, and you can't find a single artifact that would indicate that there ever was a Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
All of it. He walked here, but he wrote nothing, and we have nothing.
Right.
What kind of a religion is that?
They did provide you with some of the tools to completely disprove themselves that you're able to use.
Yes, they did.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, they did. They have committed religious suicide. So I appreciate that. They made it easier to kill Jesus.
Yes. They documented it themselves and they can't see it.
Yeah. Marxist women today are so full. And I understand why young men have become incels. In fact, I wouldn't even call it.
If this is your dating pool, yeah,
because it really shouldn't be involuntary. I mean, if these were the options, I'll tell you what, I'd be celibate. But these are women for Palestine, and yet they're not smart enough to know that the Muslims that they are supporting by banging their drums, will kill you for playing music because Muhammad didn't like music.
Mm-hmm.
Oops. B, that there is no freedom in Islam. Pure and simple. You cannot say that you want freedom for Muslims when freedom is absolutely outlawed in Islam. And there was no Palestine. And if you want to pretend there was a Palestine, then you have to accept the Torah and prophets as being correct, because it's the only place that name is even mentioned. And then you got to accept them being invading terrorists who only lived in Gaza. And then you'd have a bigger problem, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So
they want to drape themselves in this stolen fake flag, this stolen fake kifa, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not one hijab in the bunch. Not one burqa in the bunch. Come on, ladies. Where's your solidarity, right?
Yeah, you're going to go for it. Start putting on the tent.
Mm-hmm.
So, but squared is the case here. Israel is the only, by the way, liberal nation in the entire Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
The only not wear a hijab is in Israel. So good luck with your stupidity. But God, what a waste of a human soul.
Mm.
Young women today and young men, not salvageable. So Netanyahu saying, that the women of Gaza are their property. They're nothing. They have no rights. They're completely subjugated. So Netanyahu, hey, pal, look over your shoulder. The only reason you're prime minister is because of the Haredi. Women, as Haredi women, have no rights. They are property. They are completely subjugated. They can't even get a divorce without the man agreeing to it. They can't even leave. So you're talking about the coalition that elects you, treats women as property. And you want to blame the Gazans, and you can't even say Islam?
Mm-hmm.
Come on. Take off the suit. Stop embarrassing yourself. Stop destroying Israel. And Vivid, go to hell. What a piece of slime you are.
I think that the Muslims, don't they let the women keep their hair? They put them in a tent, but they let them keep the hair, right?
Right. They don't amongst the Haredi. You've got to shave your head. Yeah, as a woman, you have no rights. Among the Haredi, you can't mingle with men. Men can't be seen around you. You see all those pictures of the rabbis. They're all dancing with other men. They can't be part of the IDF because they can't be around.
Well, we'll see. If
Man, I was taught to read and understand the Bible. And she, by the way, doesn't know that God has no term that's related to the Bible. The Bible is a transliteration of Babel, written the same way in Hebrew. It means to confound and confuse by intermixing truth and lies. And the New Testament is exceedingly contrary to God's testimony in the Torah and prophets. So first of all, you don't even know your terms. And second of all, she's saying that there is absolutely nothing to justify this horrendous abuse of women that is perpetrated now by the government of Georgia for not letting a woman kill the unborn child in her womb. That killing that child, that is okay with God. But tormenting the woman by telling her she can't kill her unborn child, there's no justification of that in her Bible. Well, play a little bit of it just to let people know that I'm not making this shit up. That really is what she said.
We live in a state that right now has decided to take cruelty to a new level. I am the daughter of 2 pastors. I have a strong moral core. I was trained to read and understand the Bible, and I will tell you this.
I'm a good Christian. You can trust me.
There is nothing about the decision to eliminate access to abortion care that is grounded in anything other than cruelty and meanness and danger in the state of Georgia. Nothing.
Cruelty to say you can't have an abortion. Cruelty. And not cruel to tell a woman, you don't want to have an abortion. Keep your legs crossed. Don't open yourself up. You show some responsibility. Maybe, don't have sex if you're not prepared for the consequence of it.
We kill dogs more humanely than we do abortions. We kill,
of course,
convicted criminals more humanely than they do
than
abortions.
We do an abortion. Yeah. And it is in the third trimester, absolutely unequivocally murder. And she wants to pretend that it's actually cruelty to the woman who was irresponsible, got pregnant when she didn't want to be pregnant, and wants the government to pay for her inability to control herself, and when that requires killing an unborn child. Great.
I just had a thought. I know it's a little off topic, but whenever the aborted fetus is put away, it becomes what they call biohazard waste, and it goes into a Stericycle container. I mean, what parts aren't used, right, for stem cell or whatever that they can sell off. Yes. And Stericycle does one thing. They incinerate everything. And it just reminds me of this: do not send your children to the fire of Moloch or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Wow.
I mean,
that's true. Yeah, they are. That's an interesting insight. Good job. They are passing their children through the fire of Moloch. That's the modern Marxist twistion. Good job. Yeah, boy, the head tweet. This is today's Heil Hitler from the head. I think I wrote heat tweet. But the tweeter is in heat. So maybe it's oxy. Play on words here, double entendre. The heat tweet. Yeah, there he is. I will save America. Donald Trump in gold. 3-star Trump. Oh, there's the flags. There's the White House. And he's walking on the reflecting pool that
everything else is flooded. Everything else is a swamp. Everything else is going to shit, and he's getting out of it. He's the only one that could,
Yeah, a skinny Trump with his cross, and he's got 40, 45, and 47 on his priestly robes. Imagine America is actually paying the salary of this woman who changes his diapers and produces these tweets. Wow. And this is the second one. The second one is he's a warrior. The pure patriots that are warrior Twistians. Walking on the water. So I would rather err 100 times on the side of unjustified love What is unjustified love? Then err once on the side of unjustified hatred. Well, newsflash, Yahowah hates all rabbis. So not going to err on the side of unjustified hatred. Yahowah thinks rabbis are scum and he hates them all. And 7 years from now, there won't be a single rabbi on the planet. Not a priest, not an imam, not a pastor, not a general, not a president, not a prime minister. They'll all be gone. Bye-bye. So this is a modern day interpretation of Muhammad in Asia. Yeah, okay.
Well, and she's happy now.
Oh yeah, she's happy now. Muhammad 53, Asia 6. Yeah, this idea that 53 and 6, it's errantly deduced from the Hadith. The fact of the matter is that the whole picture in the where the great miracle happened in the year of the elephant. The year of the elephant is when Tuba came up from Yemen and attacked Yathrib. And the inference is that's when Muhammad was born. And since the Quran and the Hadith has no clue when he was born, that's the only credible or quasi-credible Islamic mention. And that being the case, Muhammad was 66 when he was started to diddle Aisha, who was 6 years old. So with the real number 66 and 6.
7 years. I'm trying to find the metric of where this is okay. When the boy is 13 and the girl is 6, at what point does it doesn't ever become okay? It doesn't, right? I mean,
it doesn't really. Okay. He was 66, not 53, as if that is the point that we should. I like the 666 metaphor, and it's just shown to be the ultimate creep of creeps, and the fact it was his best friend's daughter. And Muhammad did never talk to her. It was he arranged it with his best friend to throw her in a bed and then leave the room. She was out playing with her toys, and Muhammad justifies it by saying that Allah insisted on it. So Allah insisted on sexualizing the life of a 6-year-old child of your best friend. That's Islam. Yes, if Muhammad had been 10 and she had been 6, it still would have been incredibly creepy. Speaking of creepy, you start the upper left there, Magog, and the next is the big army is Russia. I'm here to tell you, Russia is not going to attack Israel. Not going to happen. The Sudan is not going to attack Israel, and there is no Magog. Iran is. Libya, probably not. Turkey, yes, but not in that manner. Turkey doesn't have to send a military in. Iran will send a military in, but not the Sudan and not Libya, and there is no Magog, and Russia is completely out of the equation. But this is what happens when you think that the book of Ezekiel was inspired by God, when it's a satanic manifesto. So no, all things are not lining up there, Melissa. Your sources are wrong. Boy, this has got to be the worst translation ever of what is already demonic. So it's a really crappy translation from a letter from a demon-possessed liar. And they want to pretend like, oh, fact, yeah, okay, we'll emphasize that, for there's going to come a time when people won't listen to the truth, but will go around looking for teachers who will tell them just what they want to hear. The fact of the matter is that, and they said here, they won't listen to what the Bible says, but will blithely follow their own misguided ideas. First, the statement is stupid. There was no Bible at the time. All that at this point, I mean, this is just how unbelievably stupid Christians are. At this point, this was Paul's either 13th or 14th letter. There were no Gospels. There was nothing else. That was all there. So there was no Bible. And the term Bible didn't get used much afterwards. And it was a bogus term because it's based upon the Hebrew Babel, which means to confuse by intermixing. So could not have said, They will not listen to what the Bible said. And if they follow their own misguided ideas, then why are they looking for teachers who will tell them what they want to hear? It's either they're listening to them, they're following their own ideas, or they're following somebody else's ideas. You can't have it both ways. So he's contradicting his own point. And since Paul lied about everything, he did not once quote the imaginary Jesus, not once, no quote Jesus in 14 letters. And every time he quoted Yahowah, he couldn't remember his name, and he never got a single quote from the Torah and prophets accurate, not one. Every one is inaccurate. So that would be a lie. Good grace. I mean, why? And on top of all that, Paul's lover. I mean, he went to war against circumcision and then personally circumcised Timothy. And disowned him. But I think we're frozen again. Oh, anyway, everybody that knew Paul in his life disowned him and rejected him. And you're not smart enough to figure this out, that they rejected him, Johnny Midnight, because irrational liar who couldn't ever once quote God accurately and never once quoted Jesus and did things like this, which is contradict himself. There was no Bible at the time. And you can't follow your own ideas if you're looking for the ideas of others. So. Old Testament, New Testament. Does God have an Old Testament? Does God at any point in time say, I have an Old Testament?
Nope. No old. No Testament. He has Torah, teaching and guidance.
Goes to war against the Old Testament. The New Testament cannot be true because it says it's also based on the Old Testament. So no matter whether the Old Testament is true or exists or is not, the New Testament cannot be true because it contradicts the very thing that it claims is its basis. But the fact is, God does not have an Old Testament. There's only one Testament of God, and it contains the Torah, prophets, the writings, and Psalms. That's all it contains. And your presentation of this, that the total who I am is in the mother of a person named Mary. First of all, Mary means embittered and rebellious, and you're going to claim the who I am, not Yahowah, and it was I am who I am. Tell the children of Israel, Yahowah sent me to you. So he is Yahowah. You don't know that. And the who I am, Yahowah, was absolutely never in the womb of a woman, ever. And if he were, first of all, he can't fit in the womb of a of a person or be born, but beyond. Beyond all of that, of course, Mary would be the single worst name you could possibly choose. And there is no correlation between the Aaron, the Bereth, the Ark of the One and Only Covenant, the chest of the insights on the harvest of the family relationship, and this whole lie about the virgin with a child. And even in the prophecy in Isaiah that they steal, there's no mention of a virgin. The whole virgin birth is pagan.
$669 million non-Muslims, huh?
Yeah, that's not true. Yeah, not even close. I mean, why? Okay, Islam's bad.
Yeah, they don't do their credibility any favor by blowing it that big out of proportion. And this picture looks like it's something out of the Khmer Rouge.
I hope we get to the one on Donald Trump on the tarmac. We have to filter through these things pretty quickly there, my friend, if we're going to get there. Yeah, this is the new plan. They want to girl power, stars and stripes, girl power, baby. We're going to turn Ukrainians, women into cannon fodder. So Stars and Stripes, it's a U.S. military publication, and they have now pink missile launchers, and they want little girls to go off and die at the hands of Russians being sent to the slaughter.
Mm-hmm. With braids and dyed red hair, which something the military would never allow. Uniformity.
Of course. Yeah. All right. So Imtiaz Mahmoud wants you to know that for years, some scholars questioned whether King David was even a real historical figure, arguing that he may have been little more than a biblical legend. Then archaeologists discovered the Teldan stele. Well, goodness gracious. You know how many proofs there are that Dowd, it's not David, there was no person named David, his name is Dowd, was the king of Israel, that he is coming back as the king of the world, that he is the savior, that he is the son of God, that he is the chosen one. The evidence is ubiquitous. And when God tells this story, he fills it with prophecy such that it becomes inarguable, like Dowd as Gabriel saying that he's going to fulfill Chag Matzah on exactly the date that he fulfilled it in 33 CE, in exactly the way that he described he was going to fulfill it, which was through crucifixion, 555 to 1,000 years in advance of enduring it. The prophecy proves that he is who he says. And yes, this stele and many others specifically mention the house of Dowd, going back to the 8th century and 9th century BCE. But every time they dig in Jerusalem, they find more and more and more and more evidence. So to question the prophets of Yahowah is to show ignorance and irrationality, because God proves his case overwhelmingly. The man's name is Dowd. He is not only real, he is the Son of God. He is the Messiah, he is the chosen one. He is the Savior. He's the returning King. He is everything that Christians tried to misappropriate and steal. So if you're going to make a case for Dowd, you call David, you ought to know who he really was, because it destroys your Christianity. Because that stele also says that Yahweh is God's name. All right, so here we have James Wood saying, as long as the Republicans and they act like Congress is a gentleman's club, while Democrats act like the street gang, America's lost. Yeah. Right now, America's lost because both political parties are dead ass wrong. They are counterproductive and destructive. The Democrats are Marxists. The MAGA Twistians are promoting Satan. So it's not about a gentleman's club, and it's not about a street gang. It's about Marxists on one side and Twistians supporting Satan on the other. And that's 80% of America on one side or another of that divide. You can't fix that. And America, literally, you've got 80% of Americans that are either Marxists or MAGA stupid. With Trump as Satan, it's not fixable. So this is breaking. So this is a retired British police officer, and he was convicted for saying, something it's an old line, which fun facts about bacon. People who eat bacon have a lower chance of committing rape and pedophilia and that sort of thing. And the line is quite common. Now, he was convicted of hate speech for saying it, even though you ought to be able to say things that are true. But the fact is, it just doesn't go far enough.
Mm-hmm.
The UK is so far lost because of all of its approach to these hideous things that, Islam is the most heinous religion in human history. It's killed between 220 and 250 million people since its invention. It has colonialized and imparted apartheid on some 57 nations. It is genocidal in its DNA. Muhammad lied about everything. Allah is modeled after Satan. Muhammad, who is the one who is the exemplar of Islam, was a pedophile and a rapist. As the West puts up with Islam, Islam will destroy the West. So this is a post that mentioned the results of it, but this is the real turning point of World War II is at Kursk. That's where the Ukrainians went back in to invade the Russians, and they were so torturous of Russian civilians, particularly old women, and they were so brutal. And the Russians, of course, threw the Ukrainians out of Kursk. But to of all places to go, where the Russians, that's the battle that turned the tide of war. The Russians defeated the Germans at Kursk, which is just north of Ukraine, and essentially ended the war. From that point, it was a full-on retreat of the Germans and Europeans back across the border. And that battle took place long before D-Day. And the Russians had won the Battle of Stalingrad and had pushed the Germans out of Russia and had won the war before America even entered the war. And the reason that's important is you just have to have a different mindset of who Russians are and what Russians are going to allow you to do with your proxy in Ukraine, and what the consequences are going to be for Europe if you continue to pursue this stupid war. And why do Americans believe lies like that America won the war or that D-Day was the deciding point? Why is it so easy to fool Americans?
Mm-hmm.
Why do they not know history?
Who in their right mind thinks a war is going well when we're recruiting women to be on the front lines?
And taking old men from the streets and physically disabled people, giving them no training, taking them in handcuffs, and then depositing them in the front, and then having all manner of drones watching them, ready to kill them if they don't stay. It's nothing but cannon fodder.
Mm-hmm.
And they have no money left. They have no weapons left. I mean, it's pathetic. Mario Newfall, one of my favorite people. But it says, you thought the rumors of splits within Iran's regimes were just Western propaganda. Check this out. And so they have Hassan Khomeini's grandson of Iran's first supreme leader, saying that they ought to negotiate with the United States. And so he wants to say, see, there's a real split. They want peace. You've got the supreme leader. He's not the supreme leader, arguing against the IRGC. God, read what he said. He said, you ought to negotiate in the spirit of Hudabayah.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know what Hudabayah is, you're just a moron. You shouldn't pretend to be an expert on anything because you're an idiot. Hudabayah is not a strategy for peace. It is not a negotiation for peace. Hudabayah is to say, right at the moment, we need reinforcements. We need to buy time so that we take the enemy by surprise, so that we will negotiate a treaty that will not be binding on us. Quran 9th Surah introduces it by saying that Hudaybiyah treaty is not binding on the Muslims, that no treaty is binding on the Muslims that is made with a non-Muslim. And so it's a strategy of war to cause your enemy to think that you want peace so that you can use that opportunity to attack them by surprise more viciously. It's a stratagem of war, not of peace. So, Mario, get your head out of your tuchus, pal. You don't know what you're talking about. They are not divided. And Hudaybiyah, which is what this is about, is a stratagem of war, not of peace. This is frightening. It's I'm glad we pursued this and we made our way down through these. And if we don't get to the Trump one, I will just close the show by sharing what it had to say because of what Trump said. This is Erdogan. He made the speech yesterday. He said that Hamas is not a terrorist organization. They're fighting to liberate their lands from the Zionist regime, from Israel.
A NATO partner.
NATO, Trump's BFF. Trump's
part of the EU, right?
He loves Erdogan as much.
Well, no, they haven't let him into
anybody.
the EU, but
yes, as much as Satan can love anybody, he loves Erdogan. And Erdogan is saying that Hamas, the Islamic terrorist organization, is not a terrorist organization. Nope, they are liberators of their land, which means that Israel belongs to Muslims. And he is moving the Turkish army south through Syria. He has declared war on Israel. And Israel wants to pretend they can pound their chests and stop this, but the fact is that the combination of Iranian missiles, drones, and mujahideen in the millions, and the Turkish military, which is NATO, to give the Israelis a run for their money in standard war, while the IDF is fighting for its life against a foe far more powerful than anyone they have encountered thus far in terms of a traditional military in Turkey, while the Iranians are lobbing all manner of very sophisticated missiles and drones into Israel, destroying the cities and the military bases in Israel. And at the same time, with Turkey providing cover for the 4 million mujahideen that are going to be part of that terrorist assault of Israel that the prophet spoke of during the last days. That is what I think we're frozen again. Okay.
I'm riding the stream every time.
Okay, so here we are. We're still frozen. All right. So not only did the prophets foretell that this was going to happen, that it would be Turkey providing military cover for Iran to march 4 million mujahideen into Israel in what is Osca flood 2.0. 1,000 times worse what happened on 10/7, literally 1,000 times worse. And at the same time, Iran, which is the missile and drone leader of the world, is going to pound Israel cities and defensive infrastructure with all manner of missiles and drones, while the IDF is off fighting a military foe that is their equal in Turkey. This is going to leave Israel completely and totally indefensible. And on top of all of that, there was a development yesterday that should send chills down everyone's spine. We talked about that Mecca Accord that has Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Pakistan. And I said, it's at this point, it's not worth anything because the Turks are not going to defend Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia's got nothing to offer other than some money, and they're losing that. And Pakistan is a house of fire. And by the way, even Turkey's economy is failing, which is why Erdogan needs to start a war, because you can't cling on to power if your economy fails unless you're in the midst of a war. What happened? Iran. They invited Iran. and Iran is strongly considering it now. If Iran joins that Mecca Accord, it's it for Israel. They are really checkmated, because it means that just what I described was going to happen, and I wrote about it in these books we've just recently published, that Turkey will supply the military air cover while it distracts the IDF. Iran will send all manner of ballistic and hypersonic missiles and drones into Israel's cities and to its desalinization plants and its fuel refineries and all of these sorts of things, its electrical facilities, that will provide cover for their 4 million mujahideen that are going to come in and terrorize Israel, is what the prophets foretold, that Mecca Accords. That is exactly what that talked about. And and then you've got the realization, what it also means is that Trump's mistake in Iran and Israel's checkmated itself in this process, and America removed itself from the Middle East, which means it removed itself from the petrodollar, which means its economy will crater in soon. And Trump knows that the economy is going to crater for soon, because what he says on the tarmac is, we'll use the military option. He was talking about the fact that there was nobody to buy the bonds. And he was talking about the bond market to a reporter. And he says, well, if we have a problem, we'll use the military option. What is the military option? I'm going to cancel martial law. I'm going to cancel debt, and I'm going to impose the U.S. military to keep you from protesting against it. That's what that means. And he said it. So those two events, that's worth doing this show. Let people know that's what's happening. Heating up. It's getting hot out there, man. Mine is getting hot out there. We entered the time of Israel's troubles 3 months ago, May 22nd of this year. And boy, has it heated. The first, it's a 7-year process. We're only 3 months into it. June, July, August. Yeah, we're only 3 months into it. And it has set Israel up for absolute destruction. And the United States, which is exactly what the prophets say is going to happen. Wow. So that was quite a combination. Erdogan's speech on behalf of the destruction of Israel, and that legitimizing Hamas. And he says he wants to provide the military in Gaza. Yeah, well, yeah, he would supply the military in Gaza, no problem. He'd give every weapon that Hamas wants. And Israel is just screwed under these circumstances, because Trump loves Erdogan and he hates Netanyahu. Yeah, the clip you had with I think it was Tom Barak, which is the ambassador to Turkey from the United States. I mean, and he is openly calling for the destruction of Israel over and over and over. Yeah. It's like, this is the United States ambassador of your greatest ally? Yeah, so you're an ambassador of the United States. You report to the president through the State Department, and you're calling for Turkey to annihilate Israel. You can't do that without calling for Turkey to annihilate Israel. Yeah, and that's the U.S. ambassador to Turkey.
Is anybody in Israel really paying attention?
No, Israel's not. Israel's living in delusion land. They are pounding their chests and pretending they're still with Hashem. You read Jeremiah 3. It says, because you're religious, I wrote you a letter of divorce. I am no longer with you. I am rejected you. I set you free because I couldn't stand to be around you anymore. You were so unfaithful, and your betrayal got the best of you, and I set you free. You're on your own. A letter of divorce.
Still on their own.
Yeah. 650 BCE, you're still on your own. So this is pretty powerful. Let's see what else we have here. Maybe we'll have something that also parlays into this, but I thought that was an amazing situation. This is related in that Turkey and the Nazi regime, which is, again, Marxists and Muslims, were in full support of one another. Turkey supplied much of the raw material that enabled the Wehrmacht to exist. And so Muslims and Marxists have been together for a very long time. It was the meeting with the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem with Adolf Hitler, Muslim and Marxist, that caused the Holocaust. Prior to that, Hitler's plan was to rob Jews, work them, and steal their possessions and exile them. And the Grand Mufti says, no, you can't do that. I want them exterminated. And 2 months later, they had the final solution worked out and started to exterminate them. 6 million Jews died because of the alliance of Muslims and Marxists. And it goes on to this day. And Turkey is on the wrong side of this equation. Oh yeah, this is funny, but there's no need to play it now. But it's just it's going back and forth between Paul and Muhammad. Neither one knew Jesus. Well, Jesus never existed. And I said, you can't believe Paul because he never met Jesus. And they said, well, Muhammad talks about him. Well, Muhammad, he didn't meet Jesus because, well, he did on his nice journey, of course. And it goes just go back and forth. And the fact that neither one of them are credible. And they're talking about a person who never existed in Jesus. And you have two people that never met him, both writing about him, except for the fact that Muhammad was illiterate and Paul was demonic.
Here we go. Now we can blame Canada.
Yeah, boy. So according to Carney, that it was set up to fail. Just like the negotiations with Iran were all set up to fail. Even when America signs the negotiation, they violate the negotiation immediately. Same thing was true with these negotiations with Canada. They had negotiated and resolved all the significant issues. And then Trump team came in and said, no, we're going to make these changes. And one of the changes is you have to give up the French language in Quebec.
Real.
Yeah.
It's only half of them that speak French. It can't be that tough, right?
What does Trump have the right? Why would Trump have the right to say you can't speak French in your country? I mean, it's just it's mind-boggling. So Carney's just saying, listen, they never meant to have a deal in the first place. The whole thing was nothing but a setup. We tried, and now the United States is at war with us, and we're at war with the United States. That is, we went from being number one, a trading partner for each of us, to being at war with each other. It's going to be devastating for both of our economies, but we'll make the best of it, and we'll see what happens to the United States. But at this point, you can't negotiate with them. They're vile.
The United States gets off worse because I saw this press conference, right? I mean, the United States is going to lose access to the Alberta oil sands, energy. Okay. We lose access to hockey sticks. We lose access to there was something else in there. It wasn't maple syrup. It wasn't even that funny. It was something else that was.
Yeah, the Canadians the Canadians supply almost all of United States uranium. And without uranium, our Navy, our submarines, and our aircraft carriers grind to a halt. And we still have some uranium power plants. They also grind to a halt. That comes from Canada. And so we're screwed without that. Potassium is one of the fertilizers that comes from Canada. We're screwed without that. And the oil that comes from the tar sands is heavy crude, which is the kind of oil that America's northern refineries are designed to refine. Without it, they stop working. And so Canada has America over a barrel, literally. Their oil to China, because China actually built the only other country on earth that has refineries that can also process heavy crude. because they were taking oil from Venezuela, so they can access it. So they're just going to sell it to Canada and to China, and China can use the uranium because they have more nuclear power plants than anybody else, and they're building more around the world than anybody else. So it's easy for Canada to find a new trading partner, but the United States is really screwed. It's Trump just being literally sabotaging his own deal. And of course, now they're saying you got all the little protesters in the Trump administration. We provide security for them, and they need to pay for that. No, we don't. We don't supply security even for the United States now. Our military is completely counterproductive and useless. So no, we can't even supply food on an aircraft carrier. We can't make the toilets work on an aircraft carrier. We're not, when we're out of interceptors, we're out of strategic missiles. The United States is done. I mean, we can't afford its military, and its military is essentially inoperative. So no, we're not supplying security for anybody. Yeah, you want to go and tell you're supplying security, go tell that to Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, and UAE, and see how they respond. Tell that to Taiwan right at the moment. Tell that to South Korea and see how they respond. Yeah, here's a girl. She was, I think, 14 years old. She married this old fart at 63. He was, she or somebody released their wedding pictures, and he was mocked for doing it, and probably marked because she was way too old at 14. You know, Muhammad set the example that you're supposed to follow, and Aisha was only 6, so she was 8 years too old. But he didn't like the embarrassment, and so he murdered her.
She probably felt better off after the murder. I mean, yes. I mean,
she was.
This is her wedding day, right? I'm presuming this is her wedding day. Look at that face.
Yeah. It's disgusting with what Islam does. Islam is the creepiest damn religion ever. I mean, it's just grossly immoral. No excuse for it. Shouldn't be tolerated.
And the Marxists are in bed with these people.
Yeah, I know. It's just disgusting. So in the last 78 years, 25,000 Israelis have been murdered by Muslim attacks.
Muslim. He says Muslim.
It's been a nonstop war because Muslims don't accept the existence of Israel. Oh, come on. Islam started perpetrating genocide against Jews 14 centuries ago. They have attacked Jews and perpetrated genocide and apartheid against Jews for 1,400 years, not 78 years. They killed 25,000 Jews in the first 2 years of the Islamic era.
30,000 in Yathrib. I mean,
yes.
they didn't.
Yeah, 30,000 just in Yathrib, and then there was Kabar. Why is it that you don't recognize the big picture? I mean, this is so tiny, Israeli official, compared to the scope of what has happened as a result of Islam. And the fact that you're wearing your little rabbinic beanie caps, you don't recognize that the kippah, that it was rabbis that created Islam. They sold Muhammad the Talmud stories that he was able to incorporate into the Quran to make the Quran seem religious. You created the enemy of Islam. So come on, wake up before it's too late.
There's
probably already too late.
Oh, this is Tommy Barak.
Yeah. And so he's the one who's essentially saying that Israel has no right to exist. And he's the U.S. ambassador to Turkey. I didn't listen to this. Did you actually listen to it?
The parts of it, because it's very memey. You know what I'm saying? They put overlays over it and everything. It's
okay.
Turkey said openly that they don't have an aggressive or offensive posture.
Oh, this is a different one. Okay, here.
Oh, yeah.
Rabbim Kahhar ismi şerifi hürmetine kahru perişan eylesin.
Biz nasıl
Destruction of Israel.
Karabağ'a girdiysek, nasıl biz Libya'ya girdiysek,
Just as we entered Libya, we'll do the same thing in Israel.
onları da yaparız.
Yeah, this is Erdogan and his team, one after another.
İnşallah bir gün Kudüs'ün
And then one day we will be in Jerusalem.
İştenişe büyüttüğüm yazım. Rabbim bir gün bana
Yeah.
bir gün de olsa Kudüs valiliğini nasip et diye. Geçmişte
Yeah,
olduğu
we're gonna
gibi yine o
we're going to destroy Israel. That's what Turkey's full rant right now. Going to destroy Israel. So NATO, Turkey, that's a significant threat. Yeah, this is the post. The first thing I read this, I said, "No, God, please, no, say it's not true." But it is. Iran's president of the parliament posted and said, "Yes, we have a formal invitation to join the Mecca Accords with Turkey, Pakistan, and Saudi Arabia." And they would they join for a second with Pakistan, because Pakistan is to their south, and with Pakistan in an alliance with Iran, the United States has no hope of protecting shipping leaving Iran, because you'd have all the protection from Pakistan and Iran out of the Strait of Hormuz and the Persian Gulf into the Arabian Sea. So they would love to have a deal with Pakistan, and they would love to have a deal with Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia still has the ability to help fund the shortfall of Iran, and at this point, Saudi Arabia would do anything to be able to ship oil again and to not be destroyed. I don't know if you know, but Saudi Arabia has completely canceled the largest project in human history, the Nome, that was called the Line, from Jeddah all the way to the Red Sea. Was the largest.
Oh, the pipe. Okay.
It's called Nome. They also called it the Line. It's the largest project ever undertaken by humanity. The Wall Street Journal estimated it was going to cost us $8 trillion. It's been completely shut down. Saudi Arabia is in serious financial trouble. It has been completely shut down. And so, who knows what's going to happen, even with MBS, whether his father will go ahead and allow him to become king. Damage to the kingdom. It's near lost this war with Iran, lost the support of the United States, had huge damage to Iran, no ability to ship oil and gas out of the Strait of Hormuz. They lost to the Houthis now twice. So he's in a real pickle. And so he could be plumbed for money for Iran. And Turkey is the nation that would provide the cover for Iran, is for when Iran brings in the 4 million mujahideen per the prophecies. So this is a real serious deal. And so the first thing I did was check it and say, "Oh God, please don't let it be true." But yeah, it is. Yeah, this is another one of the steels. This is the Moabite stone. This Moabite stone acknowledges King Dowd. It acknowledges Yahowah. It's dated to the either 8th or 9th century BCE. It's so devastating for anyone. And it's written actually in Hebrew. It's the Moabite version, because Moab and Israel, same people. Moab is who's your daddy? It's Lot, who was the nephew of Abraham, having sex with his daughter, that created Moab. And Lot, of course, and his daughters were the exact same ethnicity as Abraham and Sarah, and therefore Yishak and Jacob. So it's the same people. They wrote the same language. They spoke the same language. And here they were fighting each other, as Israelis like to do. And this stone from the 9th century confirms everything that the Torah and prophets and the writings have to say about this particular conflict and the house of Dowd and Yahowah and the existence of Israel, all of it. He surprised me on this one. He said no. He is a man with say yes to allow Starlink to be used as a targeting system inside of Russia for the Ukraine, because he is now the only reason that Ukraine has survived this long and continued to promote the war is Starlink has provided for the Ukrainians to kill Russians in the Donbass region, but not in Russia. And so he said no, not in Russia. It is his Starlink that is killing Iranians in that war, because it's in America's missile systems. The Iranians are taking it right out of the missile system and say there's the Starlink logo right in the middle of it. So he's made a lot of really bad calls. This one, I'm surprised. He said no Starlink for Ukraine to go and send their drones into Russia. Yeah, Islam was Islam. 19 years before the state of Israel was born, the Arab mobs, they weren't Arab mobs, they were Muslim mobs, slaughtered Jews in Jerusalem. Jerusalem was banned for Jews, so they didn't actually slaughter Jews in Jerusalem. They slaughtered Jews around Jerusalem because Jews couldn't enter Jerusalem in 1948, and nor from 1948 until the 1967 Six-Day War. They were banned from being able to enter their own city. But the riots and the massacres of Muslims against Jews, even before Israel became a state, were horrific. That's why I keep on saying that Islam has targeted and perpetrated genocide and apartheid on Jews for 14 centuries. You need to know your facts. It's not just because of 1948. Yeah, what's the difference between a Muslim in Syria and a Muslim in Houston? Islam is Islam. It's exceedingly caustic. It's toxic. It can't be resolved. But what they're trying to say is that Islam is the greatest threat, and that's not true anymore. Islam is a threat. MAGA is a far bigger threat to the United States and to the world.
By far.
Yeah, by far. Girl power again. They're really
Rosie
doing
the Riveter.
Rosie the Riveter wasn't girl power in the military. Rosie the Riveter was girl power in the factories, so that the men could go out and kill some Germans and some Japanese.
But we're out of men, so Rosie, you're up.
So they're going to send them to the front line. What a disgusting turn of events that, and they just continue to use the Ukrainians as cannon fodder. And here, this is Glenn Dason is the one who is saying, no, this is wrong. And he has good judgment. He's a decent, moral man. It's just that he does his show with guests, and all of his guests are anti-Semitic. So Israel, Netanyahu wants to tell Christians, we just love you. You're just the best. We're the best of you. Christians accuse Jews of killing their God. They demean, they dehumanize, they demonize Jews. They lie about Jews. And as a result, Christianity has been vicious towards Jews for 19 centuries. They have subjugated them, they have prosecuted them, they have robbed them, they have raped them, they have plundered them, they have hatred and demonization of Jews. They are who they are, and for the head of a Jewish state to say that we are accommodating of this religion that has persecuted Jews in shtetls and ghettos and through the Holocaust for 19 centuries is grotesquely irresponsible. I mean, you're so desperate to going to embrace the enemy that has persecuted you for 19 centuries and lied about you. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you, Robin? How could you not know this? I've had discussions with Robin. She's not stupid. So why would she promote this? Yeah, so here's a typical anecdotal Islam. You know, the idea that if you go and rape somebody, you still get to the Islamic heaven so long as you believe in Islam and you pray 5 times a day to Allah. No, there's no rape that isn't forgivable. There's no murder. There's no stealing. You're good to go. That, by the way, is not true. The only way you get a guaranteed access to Allah, according to the Quran, is to die killing for him. So the imam isn't telling the whole truth. But even what he's saying is certainly enough to condemn Islam and say this religion just should not be allowed. Yeah, this is the other one. See, he's now all same Christian cross, but he's draped in the garb of a soldier. Mr. And I guess he's walking on water because he has bone spurs.
The bone spurs, or
yeah, you want the bone spurs.
It's better for the
yeah, it's better for the bone spurs, and he's got his battleships there too. They actually have a budget now for it's into the hundreds of billions of dollars for a bunch of
Trump class battleships.
Yeah, Trump class battleships. Yeah. God, freedom, victory. Thank you, Miss Head Tweet. We appreciate the good work that Eva Braun is doing.
That is just bad propaganda.
Oh, it's just terrible.
It's just bad.
It's just bad propaganda. I mean, it's just really bad. Trump made a statement yesterday. He said, we were a dumb, stupid country led by a very, very stupid person a year ago. Hard to argue with that.
Wasn't he a president a year ago?
Yes, he is.
Just checking.
Blind squirrel and broken clocks,
Yeah, blind squirrel and broken clocks. Get something right every once in a while, twice a day. I'm not sure he averages the same correct percentage as a broken clock, but he got this one right. We were a dumb, stupid country led by a very, very stupid man a year ago. Yes. This is all true. Yeah, Secretary of Trade on the dispute with Canada, we provide their security. Therefore, they're beholden to us. And the fact, what are they going to do? They're going to go to war with the United States. It'd be devastating for their country. Actually, it's far worse for America. It's the same thing with China. China tells America to go stuff it. You want to put in on all manner of tariffs on us? Good, we'll tariff you. Boy, I saw a video last night again on the cars that the Chinese are producing. Oh my God. They have a new sports car from BYD that has gyros in it, such that, the problem with cars is they corner. The wheels lose their edge. And so the car has a tendency then with gravity and centrifugal force, it wants to push the car out of the turn. And so they have gyros where every wheel maintains full flat stability, and they raise and lower wheels going around turns so that the car is like it's on a rail. And so this car will do 220, 230 miles an hour. 0 to 60 in like 2 seconds. And but you can see it. They had the performance done. It's by the
camber and toe in changes as it
1,500 horsepower on this car. And it will change the camber and the position and the relative height of every wheel independently. It's just stunning.
1,500 horsepower out of an electric motor.
Yes, 1,500 horsepower. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so far advanced of anything that we have. Mm-hmm. They have they have a minivan that'll go from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. A minivan.
Well, electric is, because it's instant torque. As long as you don't lose traction, yes, they are absolutely far superior than an internal combustion.
But they're also capable of top speeds beyond any combustion engine.
Right.
And oh, by the way, now the range is over 1,000 miles on the Chinese solid state batteries, and the charge time is the same charge time as you would filling up a car with gas. It's in the 5 minutes from 0 to 100%. I mean, in their 30-year time frame, and they've eliminated it all. And it's just so far beyond where the U.S. is. It's a nightmare situation for U.S. manufacturers.
Oh, they absolutely have shown they can't compete. They have no interest in competing. We're just going to keep you out of our market. I mean,
yes. And all the technology in the U.S. car is made in China anyway.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's see if we can find Mr. Trump on the tarmac here. Got to be getting close to that. This is Air Force One. It's just amazing to listen to him. He is so condescending. You'd think that Satan would be able to do better than this. So he's justifying what he did is beef prices have gone up. So he bragged that he solved it, and he wouldn't tell you how he solved it, who he did the deal with. Well, the deal turns out to be with Argentina. And he says that he needed to do the deal with Argentina, even though American beef farmers are really struggling now. He said he needed to do the Argentina because they're fighting for their lives, even after America gave them the big handout under Trump. So the fact that and America is fighting for its very survival too, but he's demeaning a reporter on Air Force One because he wants to do a deal with Argentina because he's concerned that Argentina is fighting for its life and doesn't give a rat's ass about America's farmers. Listen to it. It's pretty amazing.
Question is, what do you have to say to U.S. farmers who feel that the deal is benefiting Argentina more than it is them, as they are
Argentina's fighting for its life, young lady. You don't know anything about it. They're fighting for their life. Nothing's benefiting Argentina. They're fighting for their life. You understand what that means? They have no money. They have no anything. They're fighting so hard to survive. If I can help them survive in a free world, I happen to like the president of Argentina. I think he's trying to do the best he can, but don't make it sound like they're doing great. They are dying. All right? They're dying.
What do you mean by being? Question is, what do you have to say to U.S. farmers?
So condescending. No concern for Americans. I want to, and by the way, if your economy is faltering and the deal that you're doing is I'm going to cheat American farmers and I'm going to bring in foreign beef to benefit a country that's imploding, what good is it for the country that's imploding? We know what it does to your country and the hardest working people who used to support you in this country, destroys them. But what good is it? You already sent, what, $40 billion to Argentina, and they went right through it. It didn't even last 6 months. And now what? Let's just pretend that your basis is correct. What value is it? Nothing. Pissing in the wind. There he is. It's the end of this. It comes by really quick at the end of it. He's talking about bonds, and he says, I might have to use the military option.
So that's all money. No taxpayer money for the ballroom at all.
That's not true.
Did you direct Secretary Besson to intervene in the bond market?
No, not at all. No, he's a very capable man. He wanted to do it. He's very good at it. He has a good touch. very good natural touch for the bonds and interest, and he did that, yeah.
The yields have come back up since then. Have you talked to him about another type of intervention? Is that something he will be doing?
We have many types of intervention. That's one. The ultimate intervention is our military. And if we have to use that, we will, yeah. So that's all money.
On the bond market, the ultimate intervention in the bond market, which is America's debt, and keeping the illusion of solvency, that the ultimate intervention in the bond market isn't cutting spending, it isn't raising capital, it isn't raising the interest rates, it isn't finding someone to buy the bonds, it's not stopping all this wars, it's not destroying the petrodollar or the reserve currency. It's the military option.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, you complain, we kill you. The military option in America is his solution for the failing of America to be able to finance its debt, is the military option. We have that option.
He's been telling you since he took office.
Holy crap. It's one thing to think it. It's another thing just to come out and say it. I have the military option for U.S. debt. Now, again, is the one smart guy in the room as it relates to internet influencers. He's very deliberate. My issue with him is that all of his guests are anti-Semites, and it gets old. Now, I understand that there are no influencers that aren't anti-Semites. Israel has done a terrible job of destroying its reputation, or done a great job of destroying its reputation. But Glenn Dyson is on his game, man. The dude's smart, and he's moral.
Mm-hmm.
And so what he says, the military option for the national debt, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. I mean, what that means is that he knows that there is no way to salvage this debt crisis. The petrodollar is gone. The U.S. has lost the reserve currency battle, that China has run circles around U.S. in terms of its economic influence and its political influence, that the sanctions failed against going to stay straight. It's going to destroy the rest of the world militarily, economically, and that at this point, China is a seller of bonds. Japan is a seller of bonds rapidly. Europe is a seller of bonds. Saudi Arabia is a seller of U.S. treasuries. There's no one to buy U.S. treasuries. U.S. needs $4 trillion a year in new debt that it has to find a buyer for. Plus, it turns over $2 to $4 million of old debt that has to be recycled because of the maturity on those bonds. Buying its bonds is through quantitative easing, which is to inflate the monetary supply, which destroys the value of your currency, so that inflation, which we don't even monitor in the U.S. anymore, but inflation just goes to the point where nobody can afford anything, and your savings and your home and everything that you I'll wait for it to unfreeze. Okay, there is unfreeze. So he's saying that we're out of options. There are no buyers for our bonds on market. Interest rates have risen, which is death for America, because 5% interest on 40 trillion is 2 trillion annually. And on top of that, we have a $2 trillion deficit. So it's 4 trillion annually, plus the short-term bonds that had to be refinanced, even 100 billion of buyers. And so under that situation, default. And then once you default, the only thing you can do to keep people in line is you become a military state.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he just said. We have the military for the bond market, for the U.S. debt. So what happens if you can't pay your military? What do?
They become warlords.
The generals become warlords, I guess.
Yes, I mean
you can't pay them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean that's why they become warlords.
You can't feed them. You can't pay them.
Mm-hmm.
You can't put fuel in their machines. You can't afford bullets for their guns. This is what America has become. Didn't take Satan long, did it?
Mm-mm.
I'm feeling pretty good about my call that Donald Trump was Satan and that he would destroy America over these next few years. There you go. The military option for the U.S. debt.
Mm-hmm.
That should be the single most important soundbite in the history of America.
Right.
Is that we are bankrupt, as we have no way to solve the problem other than to impose martial law and bring the military.
Mm.
Let's wrap it up.
Screen failures again. We're going to wrap this up, but that's as important as anything you're ever going to hear. Thank you for putting up with our lack of ability to. Yes, we'll see you tomorrow.
Hey there, thanks for tuning in. That was Fetch. Gotta run now. Catch Yao on our next podcast.